How are you, Chris? How are you, Josh? How are you, Raisa?
We're doing good.
Hope everyone's doing great.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if okay, cool. She's here already now. So I'll start by welcoming everyone, Minnie and Chris, our wonderful panelists today. Sorry, today. So Minnie Karaja is a communication and project coordinator at Network for the Advancement of Black Communities. And she has done a lot of work with the Black communities, and we are very excited to hear your wisdom and guidance for our newcomers in CARY Toronto. So thank you very much and welcome, Minnie. And Chris is a graduate of University of Toronto, and he's in investment banking, and he's responsible for capital market compliance and advisory in a company called Mizuho Financial Group. So welcome, Chris. I know Chris personally, he's a friend of mine. He came here as an international student, so sharing his skills and transitioning from being international student now to professional world. It's a immense opportunity for our newcomers. So welcome, Chris. So I'll just give up. I want to introduce my my senior coordinator in welcoming newcomers. So Josh is a colleague. So I'll take the role to introduce. So he will come up with questions and conclusions after your presentation. So without any further ado, I welcome Minnie to take over from here. And after Chris, like that. So thank you so much.
Great, thank you so much, Anak, for that introduction. It's a pleasure to be here and to meet you all. I'm very excited for this opportunity and also very honored to be here to speak to other newcomers and international students that are transitioning from school into their careers. I will go ahead and share my screen. Right, I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, yeah. Okay.
Perfect, yeah. So I will, excuse me. I will give myself a brief introduction of myself. As Anna correctly said, my name is Minnie. My areas of interest are marketing, communications, public relations, and project management. My current role is communications and project coordinator at the Network for the Advancement of Black Communities, an organization that is doing some amazing work in being a catalyst for systems change to support the work of changing the narrative, as well as helping Black communities to be empowered and to do some amazing work, right? Right, I'm gonna jump into it. And before I go into it, I would like to acknowledge that I am calling in from Newmarket, Ontario, and I would like to take an opportunity, a minute, to acknowledge the land from which I am calling from. I am on the land of the Hodonostuniga, the Ashinibawaki, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, the Mississauga, and the Wendake Neon Wensio. It's important for me to do the land acknowledgement, and I encourage for all of you, wherever you are, to take a minute to acknowledge the land on which you are, if you can. Right, so let's get onto it. I'm here to share with you my journey transitioning from an immigrant professional to Canada. So I will be sharing with you two key things, that is mentorship and networking, that are very important for newcomers, skilled newcomers. I will be speaking specifically to them. and how they can use this to transition successfully into finding meaningful work in Canada. So in sharing my journey, I hope to touch on these and to share from my own experience on how I have demonstrated this, how I have been able to walk this journey and to show this and to show the results and the benefits of this. So when I reflect on my own journey, I see my journey as being composed of 4 steps. I would call them as steps or processes. So maybe I need to backtrack a little bit. February, this year in February marks 1 year since I came to Canada. I'm 1 year old in Canada. And what I'm going to be sharing is what I've gathered over the time that I have been here. And I am coming from 2 countries, Kenya and Rwanda. I have spent my life in those 2 countries, and I feel a strong connection to both of them. So I'm speaking both as a newcomer and as an experienced professional in Canada. So when I came here, the first thing that I did, or how I approached my transition, is an information gathering. So I spent a lot of time gathering information on how to successfully settle here. You're very privileged if you're in the GTA area, the Greater Toronto area. There are a lot of organizations, some of whom I will be mentioning specifically in the slides to come, where you can get information on, restarting your career here, information on resume. There's very specific requirements of a Canadian resume. So information on how to network, information on how to find a mentor, information on how to manage even your finances, but I'm going to be focusing more on the career. So I spend a lot of time gathering information and even learning how to gather this information. The other thing that I did is identifying my transferable skills and skills that I needed to upgrade. So in my career in communications and marketing, I did identify some skills that I needed to upgrade so that I could be meaningful in my work and bring full value what employers were looking for. The third step was around brand building, and there is an overlay of these steps. There's some overlap there. So brand building is very key. How you appear online is very important, and one of the important tools to think about is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a professional networking platform, and it's one of the important platforms for any professional in Canada, particularly now in the online world where recruitment happens online. You're meeting people, recruiters online, you're meeting employers online, and the first thing that they do is check your LinkedIn. So making sure that that is up to date, it is up to an all-star level, meaning that you have taken the time to fill out all the required information. And another thing I'm going to mention on the third step is volunteering, but I will be talking about it more deeply in the slides to come. And finally was that reward of getting an opportunity to gain Canadian work experience. So let's get into it. Yeah, information gathering. So there we go. So like some of you are doing right now, attending information sessions, such as the one CARY has put together, is important. Initially, I attended every information that I could come across. So I think I attended no less than 20 information sessions. I was very intentional about this. I wanted to know what the employers look for, how to appear in interviews. I didn't have any interviews coming for at the moment. I pretty much hit the ground running, I could say so. So I started attending these information sessions a month or a month and a half after I arrived in Canada. So there are some amazing organizations in the GTA that provide information sessions for newcomers. Some of these organizations are COSTI, Access Employment, TRIAC, which is Toronto Region Immigration and Employment Council, New Canadians, Times Change Women's Employment Services, the YMCA, Achieve, VSO, Unstoppable Me Rocks. And the wonderful thing about this organization is that they not only take the time to help you prepare your resume or give you information about where to look for jobs. Most of these organizations have job developers. So what that means is that when you approach many of these organizations, they will be able to assign you an individual that is going to help you look at your resume. They're going to help you identify the opportunities that are within your career, and they're going to prep you even for interviews. And I was very blessed actually to have an opportunity not only to get this kind of support, but to also get mentorship. So I was a mentee with Unstoppable Me Rocks for about 3 months. Unstoppable Me Rocks has a wonderful program that is meant for newcomers who have a profession, who are internationally trained and are looking to get into professional careers here in Canada. So what happens is that they have group mentoring, which means that you will not be the only mentee. There are about 3 to 5 mentees that are assigned to one mentor. And this is a mentor who has a background that you are either interested in getting into that area of work, or that they have worked there before. So they're really able to give you important information on what you need to excel, who are the key players there, who are the companies that you should start networking with people there. And the other thing is a bridging program. If you are an internationally trained professional, I would highly recommend that you join a bridging program where you get a lot of this technical support, including interview preps if you have any interviews coming up, or you just want to be able to be prepared when that opportunity comes. And they also teach you how to network. You know, there's a class on networking. You have an opportunity to ask specific questions on how to go about networking, how to go about approaching people on LinkedIn. How do you even craft the message when you're reaching to an individual for the very first time? And for me, the most beneficial thing was getting a community. Job searching is pretty daunting in a new country. So having that community was very important for me. I appreciated that. So I was in a class of about 16 people, newcomers such as myself. So we're all looking for the same thing. We're all looking to get into our careers. We are all very focused on going into that path. So finding that community, people who identify with your needs, identify with your struggles, it's very useful. It gives you the moral support and the boost that you need to keep doing what you know you have to do to get that job. So definitely bridging programs, there are many in the city. As I said, I did my bridging program at Access Employment. It's a 6-week program. I think it still is a 6-week program. And here it's a wonderful thing to join. Yes, Triumph Employment also has specific mentoring opportunities. So what Triumph does, it identifies professionals in different industries, so medicine, engineering, marketing, such as my own background, and they assign individuals. So you'd have to sign up to be assigned a mentor. So there you go. This is as far as some of the information, like tip of the iceberg when you talk about information gathering. And on LinkedIn, so all the newcomers listening in today, make sure that you make use of LinkedIn search tool. There's a lot of resources, a lot of information, searching for hashtags such as newcomers in Canada, immigrants, hiring now. There are so many people right now, so many organizations that are putting together information sessions, even hiring sessions where you actually get to meet the employer and the recruiter online, and you could get an opportunity to be interviewed immediately. The other thing is virtual coffee chats. I use virtual coffee chats as another tool for information gathering. So virtual coffee chats, for some of you who still haven't done this, are opportunities where you introduce yourself to someone online. Ideally, it's on LinkedIn. That's how I've done it, and that's how a lot of people do it now. So you reach out to, it's also very strategic when you're connecting. I'm going to talk more a little bit on how to network, but when you're connecting with people, you want to make sure that you're connecting with people whom you share a same background or who have information or insights that you think they would be willing to share with you. So this is in light of information gathering. And actually what I'm going to say about information gathering is that it's an ongoing process. As you settle into Canada, there's going to be a lot more information. It's sometimes it's the more you know, the more you want to know, or the more you need to know. So keep an open mind as far as, getting information. So virtual coffee chats are an opportunity for you to book ideally a 20 to 25-minute session with an individual in the same career as you, or someone who you would consider a mentor, someone who has a network, someone who's settled in Canada, and you think that they would have valuable information to share with you to help you in your journey. So in these 20 to 25 minutes, you want to be able to ask questions that are very specific to your needs. What are employers looking for in my career? How should I be showing myself online? What is the kind of content that you would encourage me to write on LinkedIn to build my brand? So virtual coffee chats are great for gathering information. And as just a tip, as you are having these information sessions, just to always make sure that you have taken the time to research the individual that you're going to speak to. There's a lot of information available right now about us, particularly on LinkedIn, right? So make time to read the LinkedIn profile of the individual that you're going to be speaking with, just so that you are focusing the time that you have in a very strategic manner, and you're able to get as much value as you can, and you're also providing good value by asking analytical questions, really well thought out questions. Right. Identifying transferable and new skills. So this was kind of like my second process in my transition journey. So I took the time to find out. I know in most professions, it's not very different how things are done where you're coming from and how they're done here. There could be a few changes, but I did realize, at least in my career, I needed to do a bit of upgrading, particularly in digital marketing. So I got this information again through reviewing job descriptions. So if you're a newcomer, take the time to identify the jobs that you want to get into, the job titles, and take the time to read through those job descriptions. What is the employer looking for? It is true that, it's only if it's 80% of, if you're able to do 80% of that. So employers usually look for 80%. If you can do 80% of what is on the job descriptions, that is really good. So take the time to see what is a priority for the employers, and identify, do you need to upgrade? Is there something that employers are asking? So try and look through job descriptions. I know that every organization has different requirements, so take time to look through a wide range of job descriptions and job titles so that you're able to see what is the common theme, what is it that employers really do think is a priority, and should I consider upgrading? And also, when you're identifying your skills, ask this during your virtual coffee chats. Ask the individuals you're meeting with, what is it that employers, what are the skills right now that our employers are very keen to see when people are applying for jobs? And I realized I did not explain transferable skills. Some of you may be aware of that term, but it's a term that I got very aware of when I came here and I did the bridging program. So transferable skills are just skills that there could be a job that you haven't thought about going into that area. So this takes a bit of a deep dive into even your own personal personal abilities, your character and all that. So seeing what is it from my previous experience where I was working, what are the skills that are still applicable here? What are the skills that are applicable for even different areas of work that I think would be interesting for me? So it's good to identify those early on so that when you come across these job opportunities that, you know, maybe someone is going to recommend to you, you're able to say, oh yeah, I do think I can do this because I know it's a transferable skill. I've done this before, so I can transfer that skill to do this new job that I didn't ever consider. So when you are thinking about doing an upgrade, there are quite a number of free resources that are available to you, and some that you may need to pay some amounts. The University of Toronto and Ryerson University, they have schools of continuing education. So take time to look at those. They have short courses ranging from a couple of weeks to a couple of months, and LinkedIn Learning. So if you already have the premium membership of LinkedIn, you have access to LinkedIn Learning. There are a lot of courses there, very short courses. You can get a certificate for these courses, and make sure when you get these certificates that you are putting them on your LinkedIn. You're making sure that your network is aware that you are upgrading, you are adding value to your professional skills, to how you show up. That shows that you are a person who's willing to learn, and you just are very eager to keep upskilling yourself. So make sure that you're talking about this. And if you do not have the premium membership for LinkedIn, you can still get access to LinkedIn Learning or the Linda platform through your Toronto Public Library. I don't know about other libraries in the city, but I know if you have the Toronto Public Library card, you have access to LinkedIn Learning courses for free. And it's just the same value you get if you had premium membership. It's the same value that you get if you had the Toronto Public Library card. And there are of course, other places to look. Coursera platform, many of you may know about it. And FutureLearn. FutureLearn is one that I have used quite a number of times. They have very good courses. Everything is online, of course, and you do get a certificate for this. Yeah, so I'm gonna continue to the next process. I believe we have questions and answer session after this. So bear with me if it's a lot of information. Right, so I think I mentioned branding before. I talked about LinkedIn presence. So for me, I use LinkedIn to build my brand. It's an important thing for any newcomer who's looking to grow professionally. So I use LinkedIn to grow my network. And how I did this is, again, identifying who are the individuals that have the job titles that I want to have, that I am targeting. So that's one way that I grow my network. The other way of growing my network is I connected with other newcomers so that I'm able to continue my learning. So a lot of people find it difficult to identify the value of connecting with other newcomers. Perhaps it's because, there could be a misconception that, a newcomer may not know as much as you do, or that there's not much information exchange that could take place. But connecting with other newcomers has really been beneficial for me, simply because everybody has a different network. They have access to information that I may not have access to. So it's been very beneficial to have them in my own network, because I've got a lot of information through other newcomers. So for instance, I told you that I have done a mentoring program through Unstoppable Me Rocks. I found out about the program through another newcomer. So they had access to that information and they shared it with me. They'd already been through that program a couple of months ahead of me, and they recommended it to me. So don't shy away from connecting with other newcomers and building relationships. So building relationships is, it's a bit more, a lot of people will say it's a bit more difficult doing it online than offline. But for me, I think because I'm an introvert, it's been it's been very a comfortable process for me. So how I have done this is making sure that you're adding value. I'm going to again talk about more when you talk networking and mentoring, but networking and mentoring is about adding value. So going into conversations, going into relationships, with a mindset of giving, with a mindset of wanting to learn. That has been my mindset. It's been very beneficial. And because I've opened myself up to say that I'm willing to learn, I'm willing to take chances, I'm willing to take opportunities, has been very beneficial to me. I've taken the time to know the people that I connect with, beyond reading their LinkedIn profile. I have set up these virtual coffee chats to get an opportunity to, one, introduce myself and also to get to know them. And once I get to, after that first call, I continue the conversation on LinkedIn. So a couple of ways to do this is to take the time to comment on what the individuals you've connected with are writing about. Of course, it has to be something that you have something meaningful and valuable to contribute to. So commenting and sharing information with your own network. And this is something a lot of newcomers don't realize, is that you are bringing a lot of value into these conversations. It does seem sometimes that the individuals we are meeting are, they're way above us. They've learned so much. They have so much to offer, and we see ourselves here. But really, it's on the same level, right? So you are bringing your own value. You're coming into the conversation with your own network. So when you take the time to share something that's an individual you've connected with on LinkedIn, share it to your own network, that's something valuable that you're doing, because only you can share to your own network, right? So take time to do that. Take time to really show that you care about, being in this relationship, as I would call it. And that is how you build upon it. It takes time, and, you have to be intentional about it. The other thing of building your brand. So a brand is really how people see you when they meet you for the first time, and as they get to know you, they look at your LinkedIn profile. When you look at my LinkedIn profile, you should be able to see that, number one, I am a communications and marketing professional. That should be obvious from my network. The other thing is that you should be able to see things that validate that. So one of the things that I really recommend to newcomers when I speak to them is to join professional associations. Now, I am a member of the International Association of Business Communicators, a member of the American Fundraising Professionals, the American Marketing Association. I'm not a member of the Canadian Public Relations Society, but I did do an accreditation exam on public relations. So what that has done to me is that it has added credibility to my brand, credibility to being a professional communicator. So, and beyond that is that I am very active in these associations. So I'm a volunteer with the AMA. I'm also a volunteer with the IABC. So what this does for me is that it gives me another opportunity to grow my network. I get to meet other volunteers who many times are professionals who have more than 20 years of experience. This is a place for them to give back to the community. So they get to share their own network with me, and I get to really benefit from that relationship. Some of them become my mentors. So at the AMA, a lot of these associations, not just the ones that I am a part of, they have mentorship programs. So I encourage, if not for anything else, join for the mentorship programs. They are very well structured. The AMA has a 9-month-long mentorship program, of which I am a mentee. In that program, it's a whole 9 months that you get to be attached to a professional that is very well established in their network, in their work. My mentor actually works at RBC. She's a senior manager there. So I get access to her networks. She's obviously very established, and it's just really an opportunity that I would not get if I did not, put myself out there. That's another thing I'm gonna say. So these opportunities are there. Don't shy away from them. If you see an opportunity, an association, whether it's the CPA, I know for accountants, they possibly have mentoring programs. Jump on those opportunities. Don't be shy about it. People are willing to help and to share information. The other thing is to volunteer. A lot of times, I know for newcomers, well, it took time for me to get my first opportunity. So I decided not to just sit back, but I wanted to show, it's easier to show than just tell, right? So I volunteered, I took opportunities to volunteer, and I'm still a current volunteer of Sheila's Place. This is a nonprofit based out of Toronto that supports people with eating disorders. So I approached the organization. Actually, I did not wait for an opportunity to come to me. I approached the organization and told them that this is my skill set. How can I help your organization? So really encouraging all newcomers on the call to take the first step to looking out for those opportunities. And another place that I'm starting to identify as an opportunity of growth or an opportunity where newcomers can provide value is with a startup. The startup community in Canada is very vibrant and very open to newcomers. And, I've started to learn a bit more about the sector. So this is another great place to, if you don't want to volunteer in the nonprofit sector, look at Canada Startup. There's so many organizations that are looking for, they're growing their brand, they're growing their company. So they're looking for people with skills. And many times, you've heard about Canadian experience. They're very open to welcoming newcomers. So encouraging everyone on the call to think about looking there. Right. So just a moment, I don't think I missed anything. Yeah, so that was about the branding process, and I believe the kind of like the second last process there. So my last process was, just getting that first opportunity. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it before I go into how networking and mentorship comes together, just to demonstrate the value of networking and mentorship. So networking, so I'm just going to explain how I got my first opportunity. It's very interesting. So my first opportunity, I got it through, well, not really networking, but I told you at the beginning of the call that I was very eager and I attended almost every information session that I could come across. So I came across a pretty much like an ad on LinkedIn of an information session that was going to come up. And I decided to reach out to the person that would be speaking. And I told them, I have seen that you'll be speaking at this information session, and I would like to connect with you and to let you know that I will be joining the session. So I connected with them, and actually this is something that I would recommend to a lot of you on the call. To, as you're growing your network, this is a great way to meet people who are people perhaps you would not have access to if you just sent a direct message on LinkedIn asking to connect with them. If you have someone who you really look forward to hearing them talk, take the time to look at their LinkedIn and drop them a message, let them know that you're excited for the talk that's coming up and you would like to connect with them. So I connected with the individual, and it turns out that they were growing their business, and they asked me whether this, like the short version of it, they asked me whether I would be interested in. So I got into a call, actually. I got onto a call, and it was an information session. As I said, when you get into these calls, making sure that you have an open mind, making sure that you're willing and ready to listen and to learn and to get as much information as you can. So I got into this conversation, and I was quite curious about the business that they were doing, and turned out that there is an opportunity. So that just to demonstrate to you that networking does pay. And actually, after that opportunity ended, I was able to get another opportunity with another organization that I was volunteering with. I still do volunteer with the organization, the Kenyan Canadian Association. I I volunteered again as a way to grow my network. So aside from, making sure that you are connecting with individuals in the areas where you want to go, making sure that you're connecting with other newcomers, make sure that you're also connecting with people from your own background. If you're coming from Rwanda, make sure you connect with other Rwandans, connect with the association, start volunteering with them, because chances are the people volunteering there are already established themselves and they can guide you. So I started as a volunteer, and a couple of months later, quite a long time, actually 6 months almost, the organization started to grow and they needed someone to do communications. I applied and I went through the interview process, and I was shortlisted for that. And you can obviously guess it's because part of the reason, not just my skill, is that I had been volunteering with the organization for a while, and I had a lot of knowledge about what the organization was doing. So as the best candidate, and honestly, I hope that demonstrates to all of you that there is value in building a network and making sure that you are bringing as much value as you can. Think of the value that you can bring before you think of what you can get out of these relationships. So now I'm just going to go to the slide that you see in front of you, which is how networking and mentorship comes together. And what I would say about this is, as you're networking, as you get mentors, and to me, a mentor is simply a person that listens, helps you to make the connections and to grow your network. And many times they're really going to share their networks. I have right now 3 mentors from the AMA, from other organizations. And these are opportunities that are out there. As I said, there's so many mentoring programs, and these are just individuals that have taken the time to say that I want to help a newcomer to settle in Canada. I want to help them look for their opportunity. So make sure that you're taking advantage of those. And aside from those formal setups, to me, a mentor is really someone who is wanting to help you to succeed. So there are many people even on this call whom I consider a mentor. I'm not in any program that is being led by any organization with them, but I have cultivated a relationship with them that I know that if I give them a call, they would be willing to offer me genuine, honest advice, and they would be willing to share their networks. So as you're building your networks and mentoring relationships, make sure that your network understands your skills and abilities. Make sure that you're able to articulate that very well. Again, as I said, let it be demonstrable. Join an association, start to volunteer, put your skills to use so that people are really able to tell, she says she's this, she's actually doing it. And build mutual relationships. As I said, think about the value that you're bringing before you think about what you're getting out of the relationship. Right, so a quote here to say that in every labor there is a reward. It's a lot of work. A lot of work goes into this. A lot of work does go into this, is what I can say, but don't be discouraged. There are ups and downs, and I hope that at the end of this, you're able to say that it was all worth it. It's been worth it for me, taking the time to invest and to know people and to volunteer and to just grow my network has been very beneficial for me. And there you go. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now.
Wow. Thank you so much, Minnie. I believe that not only to newcomers, but everyone here on the call, this is valuable information. So thank you very much for sharing that expertise with us. So our next guest speaker is Chris. Chris, you can take over.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me. I'm called Chris Mara, and I work in finance, mostly investment banking, and I work with the Mizuho Bank, which is Mizuho Financial Group Inc. It's a Japanese bank. Mostly in Canada, we do corporate banking, mostly in capital markets. So in Canada, we are not involved in retail banking. For example, we don't do most of our customers are corporations. And just a moment, how do I make myself the main? Just a second. You can see. One second.
Hi, Minnie. Can you? Okay, good. I see that the host was changed. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Chris, it's a shared panel. It's fine. It can stay like this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So most of the time, our customers are corporate entities, corporate organizations, especially those ones which are from Asia, like those ones which are from Asia, like Nissan, Toyota. Those are like some of the big customers that we deal with. We also do. We are also really involved in mutual funds. We also do a lot of ETFs that external traded funds. We also we have also gotten involved into the Bitcoin business because Bitcoin right now, that's what seems like the future is heading to. It's an opportunity that most of the financial industry is trying to tap into that opportunity. So I tried to, prepare a brief. I've summarized my presentations, and it won't. I don't have it in a PowerPoint format, but I'm going to, go straight to the point and make it really precise so that everybody can get a chance to. If you're taking notes, you can get a chance to get a clear notes. So the program, for me, the topics that I'll be covering today is international student experience and some of the helping tips that I can give to the newcomers to Canada. And I'm mostly going to give these tips coming from my own personal experience and some of the tips that I've learned throughout the years that I've been here. So I came here in 2015, and I've been here ever since then. And I went to U of T and I did political science and economics. But as towards the end of my school, I ended up gearing towards finance. And right now I work in the financial industry, but I'm also very involved and very passionate about politics. So I went to U of T. I finished in 2019, and right now most of the things that I'm doing right now is working. So some of the difficulties some of the tips that I have, some of the things that I've seen throughout my time in Canada that I can, mention to someone who is new to Canada. Number one, I would say, which most of the time people tend to overlook, but it can be really disrupting, is you need to get, the small details that matters together under control. For example, like immigration. So if you're not on permanent residency and you're an international student, you really need to make sure that you are, anything which to do with immigration, you keep it in order, because it can be really inconveniencing. And I've seen colleagues, I've seen friends who, after graduation, they took a lot of time before they could apply for their post-graduation work permit, and some of them had to be forced to leave the country, and some of them had to stay inside illegally. So some of those things can affect your chances of getting opportunities, because most of the time, employers, when they're hiring you, those are the kind of questions that they ask. So for you to set yourself for you to set yourself for success and to go after the opportunities that you have identified, you have to make sure that those small things you have taken care of it. It's not on your way. So handle the small things. And my second tip is try to explore, opportunities within your university. I know, for example, like U of T offers a lot of work study positions. They offer a lot of part-time opportunities. Me personally, I did a lot of part-time opportunities in U of T, and it doesn't matter that you are doing it specifically on something that you want to do in the future, but some of them can help you, towards what you want to do. It can also help you in immigration. If you intend to come back and you intend to work in Canada after your studies and you want to get a permanent residency, some of those are counted towards your application. So you should try to get those experiences. But while you're also getting those experiences, you're also going to be able to learn the Canadian work ethics, the Canadian work culture. You're also going to be able to make new friends, and you're also going to, build your professional, your professional skills, which is going to help you for the big opportunities when you're done school. So try to look for those kind of opportunities. And within U of T, most of the time, talking from within U of T, they always recruit during the summer before the beginning of the school year in September. So you should start looking from sometimes in April, up to August, and there's a lot of opportunities that they always post on Career Learning Network. Another opportunity that I would really advise that you look into is career centers. I used career centers when I was at U of T. I used it a lot to basically help me, because it's a free services, it's covered by the university. It's really helpful because it helps you to navigate, the junior job market. So trying to prepare you for after graduation. So these are professionals that you can ask them. They can give you resume tips. They can give you interview tips. They can also help you with the, career, when you're not really sure about what you want to do after school, or you're conflicting on which side you want to take. You can really have this conversation with these professionals, and they'll be able to help you choose a clear path towards your dream job or towards your dream career. So when I was at school, I really utilized that opportunity. I did visit career centers a lot, and I worked on, they helped me a lot when I was at university, and what I've learned from there, I used it, some of them up to today still. So I would really advise checking career centers, which is almost every university in Canada, they have it, and they always have those services. And another tips that I have, I talked about being organized, both academically and you have to make sure that your academics are in order, because though it might, at the beginning when you're looking for work study, it might not matter that much, but you have to make sure that your academics is in order so that you don't end up being in the school putting you in probation, because that can affect you, because after when you are done school, when you are, according to the dream that you have, let me say you want to become a lawyer, they really require, a very high level of achievement in your undergrad, and you have to make sure that your academics are properly in order, so that when you're going for these opportunities, you can back it up, that you have what it takes to perform the task if you are trusted with it. So academics is very important, and you have to make sure that you get it, properly in order, and so that when you get out there, you don't need to, when you present yourself to opportunity, don't say, but you're good, you say that, but when you look at your experience here, it doesn't, back up your claim. So I would really highly recommend that most of the newcomers to take that academic priorities seriously. Now that takes me to my second topic that I'll be covering, which is challenges international students may face. I'm going to talk from my own personal experience. Then I will also go ahead and talk from other things that I've learned, I've seen happen to other people who are international students. One of the challenges that I've seen international students, me personally, I faced when I came here was when I got, for example, the number one challenge that I got was when I started school, I decided to get a part-time job, and I was working at CIBC as customer service. But I ended up not lasting so long because I had a challenge with the accent. So when you're working, for example, like in customer service, you're working in client success, as a client representative, you really need to, I'm not proposing that you try to get rid of your accent or your identity, but you need to really try to adjust, because when it comes, depending on, the field that you want to go to, accent, it plays a very big role for companies actually to choose you. So you should, try to make sure that that's some of the challenges one of the big challenges that I faced when I first came here, and I worked on it, I improved on it. I tried to, speak slowly and make sure that when I say something, I ask the person that I'm communicating to let me know if they have gotten what I'm saying, or if not, then I can repeat myself. Another challenge was that I've seen most people, and also my friends and me have gone through, is you feel really alienated. You are far from home, you came to a new environment where mostly you don't know anybody at the beginning. So most time I've seen students and other people go into it becomes so stressful for them. They become homesick. They become they become so homesick. Others go into depression. So some of the ways that I dealt with something like with that experience was I did volunteering service, volunteering activities with organizations within Toronto. And I also did participate in a lot of sports activities. I joined a lot of clubs within school, especially the leadership one. I did a lot of, one of the first clubs I joined was called the Blue Club at the U of T, where mostly we talked about justice, we talked about public policies that affect, Canadians and that affect the world. So those are the kind of the ways that I used to actually make sure that I helped myself out, from going into things like depression or from alienating myself from a society. So it helped me to integrate within a society, and it was really helpful. And I would really recommend somebody, if you have just come to Canada, those are some of the challenges that you're most likely going to face. So those are some of the tips that you can use to tackle, especially when it comes to alienations when you're far away from home. The second one was navigating job market. It was, and it is still hard, because when you come here, you really don't know, many people, and most of the job markets here, it's very network based. According to my knowledge of the job industry in Canada, 78% of jobs in Canada you get it through recommendation, or someone has voted for you. So you have to, some of those things when I first came, I didn't know many people. So one of the ways that I came to make sure that I prepared myself for the job market was networking. I did attend a lot of U of T and other universities. They offer a lot of networking events. one of the things is actually the friends that you have. You can use actually the friends that you have met in U of T to refer, because some of these friends, they have parents, they have brothers who work in the industries that you might be interested in. So, creating strong friendship with them, it can help you, navigate some of these challenges, but it can also help you build your network. Another thing is that can help you to tackle that issue of the challenges of the job market. It's one of the things is attending seminars. U of T used to offer a lot of seminars when it comes to job markets and how to navigate, especially when you're an international student and when you're on a work permit, because most of the jobs that have, like, employers that I've interacted with, one of the questions that they ask is, are you a permanent resident or you're an international student? So once you say you're an international student, that's a red flag. That's number one red flag. So you should, some of the things that I tried to do is that I build strong networks, and I build, a strong case in a way that when the person refer me to the opportunity, I go and present myself and, let them know that I give them something that can make them believe in me. Like, you let them know that you're capable of, doing what you're doing, like what they want you to do better than the other person. And most of the time they try to, and some of these companies do explain to them, they understand how immigration works, and they know that after graduation, this is what you want to do. And after the graduation, you'll be able to continue working here when you get your permanent residence or post-graduation work permit. Another challenge that which I feel like many people that, including me, that experience when it came here was the culture shock, especially when it comes to networking. Many people, for example, in Uganda, where I come from, it's easier, and I'm gonna be honest, it's easier to build like a strong relationship, or to have like a casual, chat, or a casual friend, a casual chat with someone that you have just met who is of the opposite sex, like the ladies. So, but here, most of the time, you really have to pay more attention to the way you interact with especially the new, like the opposite sex, like the ladies, when you meet them, because I've seen in scenarios where a lot of friends have lost, very good connections because they came out overly nice to the girls' network that they have built. So some of these girls thought, well, like, okay, he's actually not being professional. The person is trying to make a move on me. So, for example, things like, before you ask a girl or someone out for networking coffee, you need to make sure that you develop that, you make them know and aware and clear that what you're interested in is professional, you're just interested to network with them professionally and develop your professional network. So that's some of the challenge that not only me, but I've seen a lot of people, especially like male friends, go through it. And I've also, some of the friends who are girls from back in Africa will come here, and sometimes men misinterpret, because back home people are very friendly. So that's some of the challenge that I've seen, and I've also experienced it at one point when I was at U of T, when I was trying to build my network. So that's bring me to the end of my first topic of discussion, which is international student experience and helping tips and challenges, which is challenges that you might face in Canada as international students. Now let's take me to my second topic, which is job search techniques. Drawing from my point, which I mentioned before, that and mostly in Canada, 78% of employers, they hire through recommendations. So, and every job I've actually done in Canada, most of the time, when I applied, I always apply for a job because someone recommended me or someone just submit my resume. So in kind of like networking is one of the most important part of career development. And this, you know, and this only not only from, you know, outside when you're done school, but even like within your school, like classes. Because when I was at school, there were a lot of students that I went to class with, who were my friends, you know, but right now I have like 5 of them who are HRs, the recruitment managers in big companies in downtown Toronto. So building relationship with those kind of people, building relationship with everybody that you run on, you know, within university, within, you know, when you go for networking events, it goes a long way. And for me, that has been the way that has been most the easiest way for me to get the opportunities that I was looking after school, and even when I was still at school. Another tip that I have is you should try, you know, look into joining a professional networking organization. One of the organizations which I joined when I was still actually at school was called Hip House. They always organize weekly networking events. So they always have it like at Thompson Hotel, 4 Seasons. So it's completely free. They provide drinks and everything. You don't need to pay for anything. But they always have, it's mostly focused on young professionals. So you're going to be able to meet your peers. You're going to meet people who are almost the same age as you, people who are like interested in the same, in the same field. And I met a lot of people from there. Even my current job, I got it because I met the person who is currently the general manager from that event. And one day he just sent me an email and he told me there's an opportunity which is available in the company here. And if you like, I would forward for you your resume to the hiring department and they can look into it. So you should consider joining some of those young professional networking organizations. As I mentioned, Hip House is one of the biggest in downtown Toronto, and which I'm a member, which I joined. And right now, because of the pandemic, they have not been doing many of the events. But you know, if you keep on checking their website and check on their social media, they should be having something happening after when the pandemic slows down. Another thing is, yes, please.
Sorry, we just had a question just along that line. As an international student or someone new to Canada, when like designing a resume, what would you say is like 1 or 2 like most important things that an employer wants to see on that resume? Something general that an employer would want to see on that resume for someone who's never created a resume in Canada before. As an international student who's experienced that, what's 1 or 2 things you would say is important to always show on that resume for the employer?
Okay, so it depends on, for example, like it depends on the job that you're looking for. So let me say, most of the jobs which people apply, most of the jobs which are, for example, like in financial industry that involve interacting with another individual, one of the first things that I've seen, and you know, most of my friends who are in HR, they have told me, it's communication skills. How do you communicate at all level? How do you communicate with the people who are higher level, people who are down, you know, under, let me say, who are below your position? And because the value that, because when it comes to teamwork, you know, because if you have a good communication skills, which means you can work anywhere, you're flexible to work with the different categories of teams or categories of people. So communication is one of the most important things that they look for. How strong is your communication skills? You know, so most of the time when you're talking to the interviewers, they're looking at that. And how best do you present? How best do you, you know, when you're presented with a challenge that you need to come up with you communicate your, you know, solution and remediations towards that problem. So, for you to be able to provide a good remediation for the problem, you need to be really good at communication. Another thing which I've seen right now, currently, that most of the employers are looking for in a resume, is a sense of someone who is a generalist. So a generalist is someone who is flexible, someone who is going to be able to do things across different departments. So let me say they're looking for a customer service. So when I look for customer service, they're looking to see if you're doing customer service, are you able to do sales? Are you able to cover up as an administrative assistant? Are you able to go ahead and work as, they're looking for someone who can do 3 or more things. So generalist, so someone who can do multiple things, not someone who is focused, who is like really focused only on one thing. And most of the employees that I've hired, that I've seen, and most of them, they have those things in common. You find like they work, for example, like in risk management, they can work as compliance. They can work as, they can do regulatory compliance. So those days people used to, like what I do right now, people used to be specialized. Someone say, I'm just going to do AML compliance, okay? But right now, when they're looking for a compliance analyst, like regulatory compliance, they're looking for someone who can do capital markets. You can do investment banking. You can do mutual fund. You can do Bitcoin. So you have to make sure that you're flexible. You have a talent, a vast talent, which covers a lot of areas, and you are able to, when the employee says, this department, let me say this department right now, it's kind of slow. We want you to shift into a different department. So you should be able to be flexible enough to learn new skills within within a short period of time, because you already have some small background, or you already have some small ideas of how things work in that department. So according to my experience, 2 things that you have asked that they always look for right now, they're looking for good communicators and generalists. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
This question to Minnie.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chris, for your presentation. Minnie talked about something about the bridging program. And if I remember, you've only been here for a year. And in the Newcomer team, we have a lot of people who just came to Canada. So they have had their degrees outside of Canada, and they're looking into, let's say, upgrading their skills here. So how do they go from here?
Great, thank you, Raisa, for that question. So it really does depend on your profession. So if it is something like medical profession, definitely I know that there is a specific bridging program or a specific course of or career path that they will be required to take. However, for I would say for other professions such as sales, marketing, communications, there are bridging programs like the one I took. So ideally, the bridging program is an opportunity for you to learn the nuances in how things are done here and how they're done back in your home country. So every profession will have those. I would encourage the newcomers, depending on your profession, reach out to associations. I think that's a good place to start. Reach out to association and please get in touch with Access Employment. They usually do have also for leadership, they have for procurement, logistics, I believe. So, and accounting for sure, accounting and finance. So they do have these bridging programs. So it's not to get any new information on your career, I would say, in terms of technical abilities, but it's just on the nuances, how to get your first job, how to network, help you identify which are the associations you should probably be knowing. So yeah, I hope that does answer the question.
Yeah, thank you. But it was more in terms of credits or transcripts or transferring your transcripts from Africa, from back home to like here.
Yeah. Okay. So Some will require, some employers require you to do that. I personally have not had any employer ask me for, to transfer my credits or to show, to certify my certificates. I came here, already had my master, had my bachelor's degree. I did have those certified by WES, but
Oh yeah,
honestly, to
that's
this
what I mean.
point, I've not had to use that document from WES to show that my academics are accredited. And again, it really does depend on your profession where you are. There are professions that are really strict. I think like for financing, the CPA, you would have to convert your credits to credits here for CPA, and just to be able to make that comparison. So I'm not really able to speak about
Yeah, no,
that
it's
any
the
deeper.
West.
Yeah.
It's the West thing that a lot of people don't know. I think someone asked me on the side about,
Yeah.
yeah, basically,
Yeah.
and it was in terms of school. Let's say you did your bachelor's in Rwanda and you want to do your master's here.
Yeah.
It's that transfer. The question was,
Okay, okay. So academically, I would encourage you to check with the school that you are wanting to join if you're furthering your education. So if you had your bachelor degree from Rwanda, and I believe you're asking if the person wants to go do a master's, or to see, is that a question? Are
yeah,
they wanting to go to
to do a
continue
master's here.
education? Yeah. Yeah. So definitely I would encourage you to check with the school. The school will give you very specific requirements on, if they want you to get that WES certification process done, or if they already have they already have experience working with students from Rwanda, so they already know that, that a bachelor degree from Rwanda translates to this level of degree education in Canada. So definitely speak to the school is what I would say.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. So there was actually another question. I think, I don't know, Minnie or Chris, one of you guys can answer this.
Sorry,
This
Judge.
was
Sorry, just to interrupt. Chris, you did not, I think, conclude your remarks.
Yeah, I was still going ahead, but
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Let's conclude your remarks. Yes, for sure.
okay, no problem. So I think actually I was still in my part two, the A part of to such like the such techniques, but then you already asked what employers usually look for in a job candidate, and he asked for two of them, and I did mention communication and general, like someone who is a generalist. But some of the things they also look at, which is, it might not be like really, but they look for someone who is a quick learner. And because according to my, I've met guys, on Bay Street who did, for example, like they graduated with a KPE, that's a physical education, but they're working they're working, for example, like in mutual fund, they work in finance. So how did they do that? Most of the time nowadays, employees look for capability. They don't actually, and like about 40% of people that I've met, the employers, they didn't ask for their credentials, that can I see your degree? They always, can you do the job, most of the time. So I've met a lot of people who are, like, for example, like the guy who I was working with in when I used to work at Toronto Stock Exchange, he was one of the CCO. CCO is the Chief Compliance Officer in the capital markets. He didn't even go to university. He went to college and did a diploma. And he's just a quick person who is a very quick learner. If you tell him, ask him about something that he doesn't know, he's not going to, most of the time he doesn't tell you he doesn't know it, but then he figures it out later. So they always look for that. You have to be a quick learner, someone who is able to learn something really fast and to adjust. Because, example, when it comes to currently the industries, almost every industry, finance, everything right now is changing. It changes almost every other day. There's always something new which is coming up. So you have to be really, really flexible. But then now it comes to how do you organize your resume? And now that's bringing me to my the last part, which is C, what makes a good resume when looking for work in Canada. Now, I've been in a hiring team before, and to be honest to you, most of the time, the first thing which people look at when they see your resume, it's actually not your name on top. Like all those things that you list on top, most of the time they don't look at it first because they have almost 200 resumes they have to go through, and they have very small time to go through that. So if you're applying for, let me say, like you're like a new, it's not a senior position, okay? It's a new grad, you just finished school, you're looking for a job. The maximum experience I recommend you to have to list in your resume, that three maximum. That's the maximum you should list. If you list 5, they're not gonna read, sometimes they don't even get into, they always look for the first one that you have finished recently. Most of the time they don't look for the rest of the resume. And that gives them an idea of who you are. So if something is catchy, if in your previous experience there's something is catchy that relates to, and that's what I always tell my friends, say, if you're writing your resume, don't use general resume. If you're going to apply for 50 jobs, tailor your resume according to those 50 jobs. Because most of those jobs are asking for different things. And make sure that some of the things that they're looking for, make sure you list it as one of your first responsibilities at your previous job, because that's what they're looking for. Then now you have to mention your communication skills, your flexibility, your ability to learn faster, you work well with the team. You also have to mention that on top. And keep it in one page. Make it one page. If it's, because it's not a senior position. If like a senior position, let me say like a vice president where you have 10 years experience, okay, you can go ahead and make it 2 pages or like maximum 3 pages. But you have just finished school, 2 pages. Like 1 page, no, not 2 pages, 1 page, it's maximum that you can go. Make it 1 page, summarize it, make it, brief and concise and straight to the point. And when you're submitting, when you're applying for a job, when you see a posting on LinkedIn, I always recommend that don't apply through LinkedIn. Because most of the time, and I've learned this through, from the hiring department or some of my friends who work in HR, LinkedIn always posts jobs a couple of days later. So the job which is posted on LinkedIn, people sometimes are already doing interviews for that. The same thing with Indeed. So most of the jobs that you see on Indeed, they say they have posted it right now. Some of them, they have posted it last week, and they have already done the first interviews for it. So what I would recommend is that when you see, you go to Indeed and you see a company which is hiring and you see a job that you want to apply, you go to their website and go to the career section. And when you're applying, apply directly on the website. Don't apply through a third party, because most of the time, when you apply through a third party, it takes time to actually reach the employers. Like for example, like LinkedIn, the jobs take time to be populated or to appear on LinkedIn. So, and keep tab of those companies that which is in your industry. So, for example, like me, I'm interested in banking. Most of the time, I'm always checking for opportunities in most of these top banks or in the financial industry. Okay, which one have a good opportunity right now? So you keep tab by going through their website and looking at the career section. They post jobs every day. Another thing that I would recommend on your resume, avoid using things like colors. Don't use colors like blue, red or things like, because when you're applying it online, and I've seen it, when we were getting the report from, when you're applying it online, it's the AI, which is actually artificial intelligence, the computer, which is sorting out those resumes. So they're not going to read the color. They read only black and white. So when you have written in blue, most of the time what we get is just a paper which has something which you can't even read, which is splattered everywhere on the paper. So I try to avoid using colors, and I try to avoid using big bold letters to write your name or to write, use something which is some moderate font, which is not too bold. Just make it moderate and simple, and in a way that the AI, when it's put in a computer is able to read your information. And once computer is able to read your information. And yeah, so that's about the resume. And there's something I wanted to add. If you're doing things like computer science, okay? So doing things like computer science, I would really advise you to start, like once you join school, like in first year, second year, to start building something called personal portfolio. Because when you're applying for a job in computer science, as a computer scientist, doesn't matter. Like, let me say you want to become like a programmer, you want to become like a front end developer. That's the first thing they're gonna look for. They want to look for your portfolio. And looking, getting a portfolio is not, something you can, for example, you can outsource, if you can't build if you don't, you can build your own, website. And, you can tell them when you're looking for a job, you say, see, I built this website by myself. This is my work. Everything that you need to know, it's here on my website. This is my work. I built this for this company. I did that for this. I did that for this. And try to do voluntary work. So, for example, if Enoch wants to build his website and I'm on computer science, I'm going to do that because in the future, I can tell an employee that Enoch's website is one of my work. So employees will go there and do what you have done there. So portfolio really, really helps when you're looking for a job, especially in the IT industry. When you want to be, go ahead and do master's or PhD. I've seen also recently, they've also started asking for your writing example. So most of the friends and most of what I've seen right now, they have their own website. So you have the website. So anything that you have opinions about, like if you're interested in politics, in economy, in economics, and public policies, you go and write about what's happening current. You go and write about what you think about it, your ideas on those websites. So that after undergrad, and you want to do your master's, you have something to present. You just refer the university to your website and they have everything there. Because I've seen a lot of friends who are like, they start doing that when they're about to apply for the grad school, and most of the time they ended up not putting too much thought in it because they're under too much pressure. So portfolio, and it's a very important thing, even when you're looking for a job or even if you're going to the grad school. So that's some of the tips which I had, which I believe it can be really helpful because it has also helped me a lot. And I do believe that it would be helping anybody who applies the same tips that I've mentioned before. So that's the end of my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody might have.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. That was a lot of useful information, and I think a lot of people were glad we had you here. Okay, so the first question I had, I think it was directed towards Minnie. So the first question was like, you give us a list of like services that are available, like LinkedIn, YMCA. There was like a long list. I took a couple notes there. Someone was wondering if you have to be in Canada to use some of those services, or if some of those services would actually be available to people even if they're not in Canada right now. Do you have any advice on that?
Yeah, sure. So I do know some of these organizations, specifically Access. JVS does, I believe, have services for people that are planning to come to Canada. I don't know at what level of planning you need to be, whether you've already had a PR and you're just waiting to come. But I would advise get in touch with them directly, go to their website, see what services they have. They usually do have a point of contact person you can talk to, and they can provide that. So yeah, definitely they could be that available.
Awesome. Yeah, Chris, you have something to add on to that?
Yeah. I wanted to add something on the question that was asked before to me about, about some companies, if you have like a foreign credential, most of the time, if the company, if example, like the company is going to need your foreign credentials, they would definitely ask that to be recognized by Canada, in Canada. So even when you're applying to schools, they always ask you to do that. So one of the thing, which is one of the, so I would really advise looking at FCRP. It's an organization which does, it's a program under the government, which is, it's Foreign Credential Recognition Program. So they can help you out on, you can do it to the lawyer, you can use a lawyer to send those credentials for it to be verified. And I always say that the earlier you do it, the earlier it saves you time, because you don't want to like look for a job and you do an interview like this week, and you also want to do it this week, because it's something that takes time. So it's something that if you have a foreign credential, I always advise that as soon as you come to Canada, you should verify it so that it's recognized in Canada. So when there's an opportunity, you can just present it without going through the process again, because it takes weeks or months for you to be able to get it. So that's the only thing I wanted to add on it. But most of the schools always ask for, they always ask that they should be converted to the Canadian standard.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. That was actually very helpful. So we just had a couple more questions here. So the first question that kind of aligns with the previous one is it useful to apply for jobs if you're like planning on coming to Canada, or you're like in the process of it? Is it useful to start applying for jobs and communicating with like professionals on LinkedIn, or is that kind of a waste of time if you're not already in Canada? Or is that all right to begin like networking even if you're not in Canada already? It's around the same question.
So now it depends. For example, like most, before you come to Canada, there's some, for example, like there's a legal process that you have to go through, right? You need to have proper documentations for you to be able to allow to work here. And it's always advised, like I always advise that you try to start creating connections and researching the companies that you want to work for when you come here. But what you should understand is that some of these companies, the question they will ask in the process when they're applying for it, they'll ask, are you legally allowed to work in Canada? So it doesn't really, it wouldn't make much sense, because once you say no, I know you're going to get the experience of the process and things like that. But I would say that you invest more in building connections in some of those companies and, getting all the information that you need for you when you come here. Because, but if you have your legal documentations, for example, you have your academic documents verified, I feel like there's nothing that should stop you from applying from the country, or from Uganda, from Kenya, from Rwanda before you come here. And there are a lot of employees who hire people who hire from abroad. They don't hire, like, because some of those, for example, for example, like in computer, like people who have done computer science, they don't have that many people in that sector. So there is always a need for it. So some organizations, they try to get people from who are not within Canada. So, but you need to, but if you're just, like, for example, coming as a student, you should, if you're really sure and you really have your documentations, you have your admissions, and you know that you're going to come within this time, it would be, I don't see nothing wrong with you starting to look for that opportunity. But if you don't have any of those legal, documents, but you're sure you're going to come, I would advise that person to look into that industry, to look into that place where they want to work, try to develop a clear understanding of what the industry has to offer for his career development, his or her career development, and if he or she can create some network before he can come here.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that was good advice there. Okay, I think this one will be more towards Minnie, because I believe I looked at your profile quickly. You worked with the Network for Advancement of Black Communities. This question has to do with, because I believe most, if not everyone here, is like a minority, with issues of like racism and prejudice in the workplace and like applying for work. What advice do you have for that? Like, is that like still very existent in Canada? How does someone navigate around that when looking for work or looking for employment?
That's a big one. Right. So there are issues, of course. There are issues in the system, in the institutions. That points to anti-Black racism. We saw it in last summer, and we have seen this conversation being advanced in the public. There are a lot of organizations, I believe, and companies in the private sector as well that are trying to make sure that their employees are as comfortable as they are. There is a lot of diversity and inclusion policies that are being put in place by many companies. So it is an issue that everyone is what a lot of people are admitting to, and they're willing to do something about it, whether it's the policies, whether it's making sure that the ERGs are being supportive to the employees. So I would encourage you, if you have started to work, reach out to human resources, I believe, reach out to your colleagues who are also minorities, whether Black or from other communities. Reach out to them and find out how they're navigating this, right? So at the end of the day, I found that it's everyone's experience is almost a bit different, how we react to it and how we try and navigate that. So I don't think I have a solution that I could say, this is how to navigate it, honestly. But I would encourage you to find as much support as you can. Find support within work, outside of work. Make sure that you're networking. I personally, after the events of George Floyd in the summer of last year, I did feel it impacted me. It impacted me as a newcomer, as someone coming for the first time to the North. I've never been a minority. So for the first time, I found myself as a minority. How do I navigate that? It was difficult. So what I have done is I reached out to Black women. I reached out to them on my LinkedIn network. I had already created connections with them, and I asked them, how are you faring? How are you navigating this? And just being able to even share your own emotions is very useful. It helps you it clears your mind. It gives you an understanding that you're not the only one. And I think that's very important to know that the feelings that you're having, you're not alone, you're not the only one. There are a lot of people who are going through that. And if you feel that you're at a point where you need some additional support, don't shy away from that. So I think that those are my thoughts around that. I hope it's useful. And I welcome Chris if you have some ideas on how yourself you've been navigating this or some advices you could offer.
So basically, for my, thank you. You actually gave a very good detailed answer towards that, and just something I would like to add according to my experience. So my current position, the position which I hold right now, it requires I do a lot of reporting, and at the end of the month, even the senior managers, there are reports I need to get from them. So I've been finding it hard, especially, there are some people who feel like the seniors, they've been working for 35 years or 40 years. And it's sometimes it's hard to try to engage them and to, because they feel like you are a junior to them. And they make it really hard for you to get some of this information and in time. And if you don't get those information in time and submit the report, then the company, the organization will say you failed them. So what have been, the tips I would say, I would give when it comes to that scenario is be a good communicator. Try to communicate in a way that, you don't cross the professional, you keep it in a professional standard, and try to engage with them and try to, not make sure that most of the time I try to make sure that I'm not actually done looking on them, but I'm just trying to do what I'm supposed to do. But also another way that I've been able to deal, it happens, it's like there was a friend, a person who asked me when I started working, he was like, did you really go to U of T when I started work, And that happens. So they doubt you, and most of the time they feel like, because in where I work, there are only 2 Black people. I'm the only one from Africa, and the other girl, she's from the Caribbean. And other departments, like down, they have other departments, they have Black people, but my corporate department, we have only 2 Black people. And all of them at the beginning, most of them, they thought we got there because of diversity programs. So people are going to look at you, they're going to have those thoughts in their head, but most of the time, just do what you're good at. Do your job and don't really mind what they're saying, and just do it good. When you're do a great job. When you're trusting with responsibility, deliver it. Because if you don't deliver, you're going to prove them right. They will say, see, I told you. So most of the time, my advice to other, other friends always just say, do your job. People will always talk. People will, always, look down. If it's something has crossed the line, follow a proper process. Talk to the HR, talk to someone who can help with, the office, which is concerned within the company. And, it seems to be working. Yes. But the first advice I always, give is do your job well. And once you do your job well, most of those people, they will doubt or they will question what they were saying about you. So that's how much I would like to add on it.
Okay, I didn't mean to drop like a heavy topic like near the end there, but those were great answers. It's always a difficult topic, but it needs to be addressed, especially when discussing minorities trying to enter the workplace. So thank you guys for that. It might have been uncomfortable, so thank you for that.
No,
it's okay.
Thank you for asking.
Awesome.
Thanks for asking.
It wasn't my question, but I was just delivering it to you guys. So I think we have one last question, and this is it's like a personal question. So it's someone, they're saying that they've only been in Canada for 6 months and they've been having a hard time finding proper employment without like a university degree or Canadian or like a college diploma. But they're mostly French, so they're from a French background. They're looking for like a program in the finance department or anything towards that line. Do you guys have any information regarding like French programs or French that can help this person? They've only been in Canada for 6 months, and that's kind of what they need help with.
Okay, I think because I'm in finance, I think I can answer that. So it depends. When the person the question I would ask first before they came here, what program were they doing before they came to Canada? Did they do anything did they have any background in finance? If they have a background in finance, let me say they've done undergrad, a bachelor's, back in their home country, they can convert that. What the advice I would say, you can convert the credentials that you have. Then one thing I would advise is for you to do a certification course in Canada. So for example, if you want to go into sales, banking, like that for sales, you have to do like mutual fund certification. If you want to work in even customer service in a bank, you will need mutual fund certification. Then when you're going to do things like capital markets, you need to get your CFC, that's Canadian Security course. So I see, is she the one who said internal auditing?
Yeah, so they have an experience in internal auditing, I think.
Internal auditing. Yeah, so basically internal auditing now, I think where I would get opportunities in either risk management or compliance, because compliance deal with the most risk mitigations and auditing, and one of the courses that the person can look into doing to set them for that role, because if you just say that if you just have experience from back home, most of the time your experience back home, most of the employees won't be able to really look into that. They wouldn't really consider that much. But if you have certification, a Canadian certification, it weighs a lot. So with your experience in auditing, you are well set to go into compliance or regulatory compliance or quality control. So for you to be, to get into that, you need to start looking into courses like Canadian Security course, AML CAM specialist. You need to look into things like mutual funds, as I mentioned before. So it's gonna set you, really in a good foundation for you to achieve that. And with, for example, like quality control, I don't think they require much degree. For example, like I don't think they require like, you really need to just finish high school. That's a requirement here. You need to just finish high school. The same thing with sales. The same thing with customer service, the personal banking. You just need to have a high school diploma, but there are certifications which are required. And, and for example, like most of the certification costs between $300 up to $1,000. Others cost up to around $2,000. So that would be a very good way for you to head into, because I understand it's going to be challenging with your foreign credential, but with your French, and I don't know if you speak some good English, you speak some English. English would, if you have French and English, especially like in sales and departments within banking or finance that involve interaction with the customers, they're gonna come. They will come. They will definitely have you, because French is. There's not like many people in within the industry who speak French fluently and English, and most of the time people who speak both, they get to have a upper hand. So those are the kind of things that I would advise that you look into. Certification, make sure your credential is recognized in Canada, and try to network, try to attend virtual events, finance, which is mostly geared towards finance, young professionals.
Okay, perfect. And I think they even put oh,
sorry,
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I also happen to know that College Boreal has some bridging programs for the Francophone community. So that's another place to check and network with others and possibly see whether the certifications that Chris is talking about, maybe they are one of those that are part of the bridging program, and you could get them as a result of that. So check out College Boreal.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And I think we have someone else who put a link here to just kind of help for those in the Francophone department. So that's awesome. I don't think we have any more questions left. So then I would like to thank you guys very much for being our panelists today. And that was a lot of useful information. I took a lot of notes myself. I don't know about the others on networking and resume building and all of that. So it's really appreciated. Minnie, Chris, we really appreciate you guys. And thanks for all the information. I think we have a bit of your info. So I think some of our people might reach out for like more guidance and things like that. We have your LinkedIn, Minnie, and Chris, we have some of your information as well. So I think people have further questions later on. They might reach out to you guys. But other than that, I believe we don't have any more questions. No, did you have anything to add?
No, it's just to pass on a vote of thanks to our panelists, Chris and Minnie. I've also took a lot of notes. So I told you that it's not only for newcomers, but even people who have been here. So networking is a continuous process. It's always work in progress. It doesn't end. And the sooner you get it well, the better you become good at your game. So thank you very much.
Okay. I think.
And
yeah, go ahead, Chris.
And so I just want to add, for those who are interested in finance, if you have any question, just shoot me a message. I might, as I said, I know like very close friends, like almost like 5 close friends who they work in different financial industries downtown here who does hiring. So I can, if you need, you see opportunity somewhere, I might not know somebody there, but if you ask by any chance, I might be able to know somebody there, and I might be able to vouch for you to connect to someone who might help. But also, if you have any question, just in finance or anything that related to finance, and I'll be able to, I'll be glad to talk about it. So just shoot me a message on LinkedIn, and I will try to arrange something.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so someone is asking for your emails. We'll add those later.
Okay.
Chris, you guys are very friendly people. I think you guys wouldn't mind people reaching out afterwards, like
No
later
worries.
on after the presentation. So that's awesome. We'll get that information out to everyone. Yeah, so then I think that'll be it for now. So I think we're just gonna conclude. No one else has any more questions. Then thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks for guys coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much
Okay.
for having me. And like Chris, please reach out to me if you need any specific information. My area of interest, as I said, is communications, marketing, and project management. So if you feel that there are opportunities in these three broad areas, you want to get more information, you see someone in my network after you've connected with me that you would like me to connect you with, happy to take a virtual coffee chat as well. So yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Awesome.
Sounds
Thanks,
good. I
everyone.
appreciate that.
You guys have a wonderful Sunday.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for coming.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thanks for having us.
Bye, guys.
Okay, bye.